find out right now, how many of you deal with difficult people every day? Raise your hands. How many of you are difficult people? Keep your hands up. I know there's a whole bunch of you out there. Have you ever had a challenge with someone because you're talking to them and they're not getting it? Has that ever happened before? See, because we all hear things differently based on our scripts, based on what I call MFTP, mother, father, teacher, preacher. These are the people who said children should be seen, not heard, don't speak until spoken to, rich people are thieves, all this stuff that you heard. That's really not true. So, but that's our record. That's how we perceive things. So when we get involved in a conflict situation with someone who's looking at stuff from a different standpoint than we are, maybe they had different references, different cultures, that's where conflict starts to happen. And what we want to do is get people to connect on a more effective basis. And when we get to communicate more effectively with them, they get it. It's kind of like, how many of you have got children? Raise your hands. Okay. How many of you have turned dumb overnight? Anybody? Okay, like the children are much smarter than you. I've got two. My son's 24, my daughter's 19. Sometimes I look at them and I say, does it say stupid up here? Now, I know I'm going to make a comeback. And the funny thing is, you give them advice. And they don't always listen to your advice, do they? But their best friend tells them the same exact thing, and it's the gospel. Anybody been there? So my son called me up the other day. He said, Dad, you know, I got to tell you something. I learned a lot about people. You learn a lot more from listening than speaking. I thought, wow, Alex, that's pretty profound. He's like, yeah, Dad, it's amazing. I said, do you remember Grandma Mimi? She said 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen twice as much as you speak. See, I could tell if I'm over the phone, if you're smiling, if you're laughing, if you're paying attention, if you're eating. I feel that. And when we get in front of people, we tend to shut off some of our senses. And we start to miss what they're saying. We miss some of the words. How many of you have ever had someone say, you know what, you're having a big party. I'm going to try to make it over. Anybody ever have that happen? Did they ever show up? No, because they said they're going to try. There's no such thing. Take a CD, stick it in your car, try to turn it on. You can't. You either turn it on or you don't turn it on. And when you give them a task to do, they say, I'll try to get it. And they are telling you they're not going to. And then they don't do it. You're upset. But they told you in advance. So we need to start listening to some of the words that people are communicating with us, and also we've got to make sure to look at the words that we're communicating with, because some of those words can turn somebody on their side right away, and you never know where it's going to come from.